Hi there and welcome to my Monday Live. My name is Paula Reid and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator going by the name of Yellow Bear Stamping. Tonight I've got another card to share with you that uses DSP, our designer series paper, and I'm sure that we all have a stash of papers that we think, oh yes, I'll buy that, I really like it, and then I don't want to cut into it and we don't end up using it. So I am trying to do a number of cards of late where I do use my designer series paper. So let's switch down to my desktop and we will get started. So when you join, leave me a comment and say hi, and I will try and watch the comments on my laptop. So you may have noticed that I've got glasses on tonight, so I've decided I'm going to try. I got glasses at the end of new glasses at the end of last year to help with the close work, and so I thought, right, I'm going to see how it goes doing it with my live. It does make it a bit easier reading the numbers on the, let's move my camera up, on the paper trimmer, which is always useful so that we make sure that we get the right measurements. Okay, so I'll show you the card that I used for my inspiration. So this was a card that was taught to a group of demos end of last year by Karen Ross, who's in my wider team. And I really liked how this looked. And on Saturday, I had a workshop for a group of ladies, and I used the note cards and envelopes. So it does make it a little bit harder that you can't have the height when you're using the note cards and envelopes, because they're just a little bit tighter in the envelope. But I used that same principle of the designer series paper cut into strips, and then I decorated the front. So my first one was just a plain white, and I stamped the sentiment. And then I did another one that has the dry embossed matte underneath, and then the sentiment die cut on top. And I liked this one, and the ladies all ended up doing this one design rather than the plain. So I thought, well, right, I've actually got a kit spare. Let's make this tonight, and I'm going to put it onto a full-sized card. So when I create a card using the note cards and envelopes, I always like it that design, if you like it, you can use it on a full-size card just by either adding some dimensionals, adding another mat. And for these ones, I have used the two-tone cardstock. You still get the colour, but there's just not the thickness as much as what you have with ordinary cardstock. So it just makes it easier to go into the envelopes. So this is what we're going to do. I've used this embossing folder, and I think it's called, I should have brought that with me, I think it's Lovely Lines. And so when it's, as you can see, you need to start out with your cardstock just a little bit wider than what you're actually wanting, because I don't know if you can see on here, but it kind of crinkles it just with the way that the folder is done. So it's a 3D embossing one, and so when you've got the ridges on it, it does sort of concertina up the cardstock. So you do need to kind of make it just that little bit wider, and then maybe trim it down to the size that you need once you've dry embossed it. If you kind of like with this one where we're putting the designer series paper over the top. So I think what I did was that I cut it at 3 1/8 of an inch, or around about 8 centimeters, ran it through. It's okay height for the height of it, but it's the width that kind of shrinks it. And then I just trimmed it with a guillotine rather than the paper trimmer, because if you try and do it, sometimes it will rip at the end. You can try and put your blade from the center and go down and center to the top, and that does work. So it ends up the 3 inches by 4.5. So we'll put that aside. And the mat here is 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. And that was petal pink in the two-tone. Oh, hi, Lisa. Oh, rather nippy in Nelson. Yeah, it's certainly been cooler here in Auckland in the mornings. But then by mid-morning, it does warm up, and I am back in shorts and a t-shirt. So I'm hoping that that will last. But when I first got up this morning, I did have longer pants on. But yeah, autumn is definitely arrived. So then my bit of Secret C two-tone cardstock is 3 inches by 3 inches. And I have a bit of the Designer Series paper that is 3 inches wide by 2.5 inches high. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to cut this at 1/2 inch strips. So that is the second line here. And I am just going to cut one, and I'm going to put that in front so that I can then put the next one. Now this design is great for when you have a patterned paper. I mean, you could still do it with a plain, but you're not going to get as much of the effect as this paper or this other one here that was used. And then I am just going to line that up. Let me just have done one of those. Okay, so I can move my trimmer away, and I'll bring my, I'm going to use my, oh, I've got the heat pump on. Oh, that is cold. It's not quite that cold here yet, but I'm sure it won't be long. Okay, so with the you've now got 5 strips, and you just want to make sure that you still keep it in the same order so that your design stays on your when you stick them down. This is how I do it. There is no right or wrong, but what I do is that I adhere my top and bottom, then I will do my middle strip so that it's even either side, and then I can place my second and fourth piece in between the first and third and third and fifth, just so that then you've got them hopefully evenly spaced. And I'm just going to use some liquid glue, and so because it's a 3 inch square, we're all good. Now I just might hold that up so that I can just get that so that they match top and bottom, and then that one's going to go along the bottom, and again just pull it, hold it up, and then that light sort of gets it. Now then I'm going to take my third piece of paper. Now you could do this at you know, whatever interval of and thickness you want of your strips. So And with the liquid adhesive, it just gives you that little bit of wriggle room. So that is 1 and 3. Whoops, see, that's not quite. So I want my, so that's, so that needs to be about 1 1/4. So I'm just going to wriggle that off. What I might do is just, so that's 1 1/4. So that just needs to come down a fraction like that. There we go. It'll do. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you kind of want it so that your gaps are even. So then that goes there. So this is the Lovely Arrangements suite that I'm using, and that is one of the January online exclusives. So don't forget the online exclusive products that we have. You know, not just looking at the main catalogue or the seasonal catalogues. So this is the stamp set, and it comes with the dies as part of the suite. So you can buy this just as the bundle. Then you've got the embossing folder and some embellishments, and then there is the ribbon. Now I didn't buy the ribbon, it's cloud cover, but it was, I felt for what I like, it was just a bit too wide, so I just bought a Secret C to go with it. Okay, so there is my 3" by 3" square, and the paper to start with was 2.5 by 3 inches, and then they're just 1/2 inch cuts. Now the embossing folder can go either way, with the line raised up and the little dots down, or the little dots up. I have done this one, that one with the dots up. I am going to do this one with the dots down. And I really like these textured embossing folders. Now I put a little bit more liquid glue on it than what I would normally, just because it has got all those lines and things on it, and it will just help to keep it adhered down. And so then I'm just going to put that on top of my petal pink. So the colours in this suite are Secret C, Old Olive, Cloud Cover, and Petal Pink. Now I have gone ahead and die cut my flower leaves, but rather than going with Old Olive, I wanted it to be just a little bit brighter, so I've gone with Granny Apple Green. And I have remembered to put the adhesive sheets on the back of the cardstock before I die cut them. It just helps, because these leaves have the cuts in them. I just found that actually having the adhesive sheet just helped to stick it down. Right, so on this one here, I stamped the sentiment in Secret C on basic white and die cut it. And this one I have done it on the two-tone petal pink, just for something a little bit different. And so that will sit up there, and then I will pop my sentiment down here, and then I will pop this. I'm really liking having the basic white thick card base and having a bigger border than what I sort of normally do. So Right, I'm going to just adhere this directly onto here, because what I want to do is I want to put dimensionals on the back of here and have that raised. So I'm going to do that first, because then I can sort of see whether I want to put my sentiment in on dimensionals as well, or just have that flat. Sometimes you don't want to have too many raised bits. So let's take these backings off. There, and then I'm just going to pop that down there. See, I've done a couple of cards lately where I've had you know, more of the white rather than it just a smaller one like I normally do. And then we're going to just pop our flowers. So I think what I'll do is that I will put this one on dimensionals. So I'll pop that one down first, and then I can slot the other flower in behind. So that's the difference. So this one here, everything is flat on it because the envelopes for the note cards and envelopes are just a little bit tighter, whereas an envelope for our normal card, you've got a little bit more wriggle room. Okay, so I'm going to just slot that there, and then I can put, so these are stamped with Secret C, and then you've got the solid outline, and it's very easy to match the die up on this one. I haven't had any issues with it. So I'm just going to pop that one there, and before I push that down too hard, I'm just going to take my adhesive off the back of this, and then I can just sort of lift that up, and then I can tuck my leaf. Oops, got it stuck on my finger. There we go. Yeah, I'm wondering if I've got, there we go. See, that just makes it a bit easier, and you're not having all the glue going everywhere. So the adhesive sheets are really great to have, especially when you've got the delicate dies that you're wanting to use. Okay, and let's see. Pop this one in under here. There we go, and I want to just that little bit over the flower. So there's that, and then I think my sentiment could actually be raised. So that's why I didn't want to do it straight away, just in case. And then I've got that half one that can go in there. And take that off. and then pop that there. So there's the front done. Now for the inside, I had a bit of strip, and it's a 1/2 inch from when I was prepping for my workshop. And so what I am going to do is, rather than stamping on the inside, use our little bits of our designer series paper and just put that along this side here. And that's why it's good to use your silicone mat, that you can, with a bit of glue, and so there, and that just ties that all in. Now I probably should have got my, never mind, have a bit of glue. Now if you do get a bit of glue on your scissors, isopropyl alcohol is great to just give them a clean. Okay, and then I'm just going to put that on there, like that, and then that will go on the inside of the card. And again, for this one, I've made my white border just that little bit bigger than normal, than the not quite the mat, not being quite the 10 by 14.3, just to carry that through. There we go. Now I could have put, I was debating, do I put on some twine like this one, but I think because that just had the one flower, it kind of, and I hadn't dry embossed it, was just plain, that looks really good, and I really like that with the white baker's twine. But I decided that that would look fine just like that. So there's our card. One thing I need to do is add some bling, and I thought we would. So these are the 2025, 2027 in colours. So these colours carry over until April next year, and they're the flat pearls. And I thought that I would possibly use the cloud cover like I did on these ones. But rather than using these other Moody Palette glossy dots, I thought we'd use a different one. So I'll just do one up there, one over here. And because they've kind of got a bit of a shimmer in them, they stand out really nicely. So there's my 1, 2, 3. So there we go. There's my 3 different ways of doing it. So you've got 2 that are on the note cards and envelopes, and 1 that's a normal size. And so this bit here is exactly what is on the note cards and envelopes, and this was my inspiration. So have a look through the stash of designer series paper that you have. So for this one, it was 3 5/8, but you can just change whatever width you want. And again, they are just 1/2 inch strips, and I had another little bit, and so I just put it on the inside to carry over like I have on this one, but I've done it in the length. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and just gives you another way of using your designer series paper. So have a good rest of your week. I am off on Thursday morning to Sydney for our on-stage event where we get to see new products for the 2026-2027 year, the new in colours, and I will be back next Monday, and hopefully I'll be able to share some bits with you. Thanks for joining. See you later. Bye.